Hi there, I'm back on this pasture, but not for very long because I want to try something else today. But I left my camera case up here last time, so I've come back predominantly to collect that. And I thought I'd have a little go on a part of the field I don't do very often. And I've just found something fabulous. From such depth, I could hardly even hear it. I'm not even plugged in yet, and there's no point in me plugging in because it's quite a ballsy thing now. And it got me thinking, when you first start this thing, especially with a machine like this, which isn't known, to be fair, for going right to the centre of the earth, but I really do believe when you get the hang of the Deus, the light one, this is the original Deus, not the 2, it gets as much depth as anything. Now, I just dug something from about 14 inches. I could hardly hear it, but it was a wisp enough to make me dig and keep digging and keep digging. I'm glad I didn't record it because the whole thing took me about half an hour. Anyhow, I found it now. But when you first start, and especially on pasture, the better you get at this machine, go over it again and again and again, and especially in conditions like this, it's nice and damp, signals are coming through amazingly. I found some really cool things already, I'll show you, because you'll keep finding stuff, because you'll get better at digging stuff. Now the flip side is that these days I definitely dig more tiny iron, but I've got most of the obvious signs out of this field. I mean, if you know me from my videos, I've been here so many times. Fortunately, it's a wonderful field. But I'm having to rely on deep stuff now. And this was honestly, yeah, I mean, it's 14 inches. And I could hardly hear it. But enough for me to dig and keep digging. Now, I think this is early. I think this is very early. It looks like to be a double buckle, but neither end of the buckle is loose. It's all in one piece. It's not like the buckle that has a strap end going around it so that the buckle goes backwards and forwards. It has iron in it as well. It's got an iron pin by the look of it and little bits of iron in the middle. So that's what was probably throwing me as well, giving a little bit of an iron grunt. But it's wonderful. It's not going to break any, it's not going to win any beauty competitions, but it doesn't have to. I mean, I've been finding the odd Saxon bit up here recently. Could that be Saxon as well? It wouldn't surprise me. It's certainly very, very early, and it's all one bit. I don't know how it would have worked even, but I just love it. That's one of the best things I've found in ages. I'm completely thrilled. I'm just wondering if there's any gilding on it. I don't think so. But wow, that was deep. That was deep, deep, deep. And while I've got you, now that is an unusual piece of lead. That's got something on it. I don't know what it is, or it might even be bent round a bit. But it could be a toy soldier. It's more than likely a modern toy soldier. But that'll clean up. There'll be something on that. Pleased I found that. Now I thought this was the spring of a brooch, because that's what it looks like. But I don't think it can be, because that's what it looks like. It looks like the spring of a Roman brooch. I'll leave it up to you what you think it might be. But it's got a sort of bit there, which looks like it would have joined onto something, perhaps the inside of the brooch. I think that's what it is, but it's really cool. Was it a toggle? Is it an Iron Age toggle? Don't know. Really like it though. Hi there, welcome to headquarters, where we've got to be fairly quick as per usual, because I've got quite a lot to get into this video, because we find some really, really cool things in it. I mean, I've been, as I say, I've been really, really lucky recently. Anyway, I don't know where toggle suddenly came from, but I got back, put this on the detectinghub.co.uk website, and they came back fairly quickly, the usual suspects, and said Roman toggle. It's a Roman toggle and fastener without the loop that fastens it. Now that's why this cavity was there. Now I did think, as I said, it looked to me like a spring of a fibula, but when I got it back, there's no gaps in between the little sort of cylindrical roundels there at all. It's all one piece of metal, so it couldn't possibly have been a spring. And actually that little gap there, that sort of opening there, would have been where a loop a bronze loop of sorts would have sat, I think probably circular, would have sat and been soldered into that. That's where it would have fitted. There are lots of examples on the Portable Antiquities Scheme website, but nothing quite like this. And this one's in beautiful condition, and it would have just been lovely. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it looks sort of like a sort of cufflink, like a big cufflink. Anyway, I'm absolutely thrilled with it because I've always wanted to find one of these. And now I have. And they date to about the 1st, 2nd century AD. So that's just brilliant. Look, little Roman toggle. And then this. Sorry about all the coins here. As soon as I managed to get rid of one load of rubbish on my desk, I've decided to do a video on my other channel of Roman coin cleaning, and I'm just looking for some really crusty ones to have a go with. Anyway, this, as I said, this isn't going to win any beauty competitions, but it's quite an unusual thing. It's a double-ended buckle. Gosh, it's got dark suddenly. I'm going to have to change. And we're not really sure what they were used for. On the Portable Antiquities Scheme website, there were a few, but interestingly, they say, we do not have many on the database. Their function is uncertain. Suggestions include use on armour or horse harnesses, and apparently they do often come with a slightly wonky side to them, and not just that side often, it can be that side too, so it's a sort of S shape. But this is just one in such good condition, and as I said, there are a few examples here. Now, the Colchester Detecting Club website, they reckon, which is a brilliant site, I've mentioned them a lot recently with good reason, they're really good. They reckon that they're sort of early medieval, so it could be Saxon, but the Portable Antiquities Scheme hedge their bets a bit more like they often do and say 1250 to 1450. That's always the go-to date range of things like this. Anyway, it's such a lovely tactile thing, and good Lord knows what it was. It also says on this site, the plate always has 3 holes, but there are never 2 surviving pins. There always seems to be just 1 pin. There's only 1 pin here, but here, and maybe this might be a new one, the reason there's only 1 pin is because that one would have had looks like to have a metal, an iron rivet in it. So it would definitely have gone into something, that would have buckled into some sort of strap, and that would have been attached maybe to some rein or something, or to another part of the bridle. Whatever, it's just an absolutely... It's, as I said, it's not going to win any beauty pageants, but it's such a tactile object, and it could be 1,000 years old. I absolutely love it. Anyway, as I said, we come back here very briefly later, but meanwhile, let's go back to the fields. Got to keep an eye on this camera because it just turns off. It goes, it's got a boring alarm, and as soon as it thinks I've gone on for too long, it goes click. And then this, again, a little bit of bronze. Don't know what it is, but it's off something. There's no doubt about that. So some really cool things and a bit of strap end. Wow. Haven't been here very long. As I said, I'm not going to stay either. There's a lot of rain in the air. That's why I'm not live digging at the moment, but I'm glad I didn't live dig that. Couldn't have done. Gosh, we're properly getting 4 seasons in a day here at the moment, but it was forecast rain, showers, sun. God, I'm looking forward to the sun coming out. It's the spring equinox, 20th of March. Wouldn't know, it's freezing. Right, we're in. It's quite windy, but I hope you can hear me. I've hidden my microphone quite well. Now this is wispy. Can't even hear it now. Yeah, there it is. It's got a bit of iron about it. And as I've just said, I'm digging more and more little bits of iron because I'm going deeper and deeper these days. But this is quite far down, I think. Yeah, you can definitely hear a bit of iron in there. Yeah, it's very irony. But we're in a bit of an irony area. I'll dig our ring pull today before we leave this field. I think it's iron. It's a tiny bit of iron. It's out, so we give it a try. Not iron. Sand small and bronzy. It's a little musket ball. It's a little musket ball. I don't mind that, that's okay. Digging those little wispy signals. Let's see if there's nothing else there. Maybe that was it. It's a good signal amongst iron. Well, that wasn't too deep. 5 or 6 inches. Gave a bit of a sound, I must say. But it's a dagger shape, isn't it? I've found a few of these before, but not with a design on it. Don't know if you can pick that up. But look at that, can you see? And it looks to have some gilding down there. Not much on that side. I think that's the first one I found with the design on it. You've got a bit down there. God, how lovely. This could be a goer. But I'm finding a lot of buttons today. Tiny little brass army ones. We'll give it a shot. It's not very pretty sounding, whatever it is. It's squawky. But it's at quite a nice depth. What's that? Lovely bit of flint, gosh. Cool, that might be a scraper. Or something. Now, it's just in there. I always like seeing what it sounds like now. Cartridge, 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 cartridge. We found the ring pull without even trying. That was deep for the ring pulls in this field. But maybe that will now explain what I mean, because if that was that deep, 4 or 5 inches, then, and that fooled me. That would fool anyone. But there's plenty here which don't fool me, because they're on the surf, that they give the double da-ding, 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 da-ding. I don't dig a da-ding, da-ding, da-ding in this field. It's just not worth it. But that was just a little bit too deep for me. Maybe there's something else in there. We'll just have a check. No, that was it. I've disturbed some ants. Like that. I wouldn't dig that. This sounded ring pulley, but it was deep enough, and I'm guessing it's just there and it's where I left it. So I don't know, 5-6 inches. It's a hammered coin. I don't know which type it is yet, because I haven't given it a proper look. I just dug it out of, it just fell out of that section here. So what, yeah, 5-6 inches. But it looks to be a jolly nice one. It's quite big. I think it's hammered. It's got to be, look at that. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, it's a half groat, I think. Or a groat. Got the nice long cross on the back. Who's on the front, I wonder? Well, I don't know, but it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, very clearly Edwardius. So, I don't know which one. I'm not even going to guess. But it looks to have a little bit of clipping around the side there, but not on that side. Generally speaking, that's in bloody good condition. Well, if the... What... It's what I feel I've signed a pact with the devil in the night when I have days like this, completely unexpected, because I wasn't even supposed to be here today. Wow, okay, gosh. Isn't that amazing? Just beautiful. God, I really am having one of those days. I've just been so lucky recently. I've just been having day after day after day. I mean, I have rotten days on rotten fields all the time. I go and try out fields, I check new things out. I go to fields I know there isn't very much in just because I enjoy doing it. And I don't show you videos of those. But this field is good, as you all know. And sometimes I don't find anything, but today is just another one of those. That's very faint. Well, it's not very faint, but it's jumpy. But after that hammered coin, I mean, I can go home now. I'm just so lucky sometimes. Still in there. Still a bit squawky. I can see something just on the edge here. Now that looked coiny. Just there on the side. Can you see? I can. Just there. What is it? Ooh, lovely. God, it's just one after the other at the moment. It's a Roman coin. Now, is that one of the girls? It looks very silvered. It's got a sort of silvery. It's got a sort of silvery look to it. But then again, you know, there was a time from, I can't remember, so Diocletian onwards, end of the 3rd century, when the Follises, everything was silvered. Most of the coins were copper based and silver on top. Obviously most of that silvering doesn't survive these days. I have found a couple of coins. I'll show you one now with loads of silvering on them, really beautiful. But that to me it might be debased silver, but either way it's a funny shape. It is one of the girls. Do you know who it is? I think it's Salonina. Now, she was the wife of, I want to say Septimus Severus, but I don't think it is. Salonina. But I think that puts her in the sort of early 3rd century. And I don't know what's going on the back. I think that's a dinar. I think that's a silver coin of sorts, because I think I can see a seated goddess. Well, whatever. I'm absolutely bloody thrilled. Look at that. Cool. I was supposed to go to this other field. I'm not sure I will now. I'm going to put that in my pocket. I'm going to put that in a decent pocket. I don't want that to rub against anything else. Oh, and it's warmed up. Feeling a bit hot now. My God. I was right, it is Salonina, but I was wrong about the fact that she was married to Septimus Severus. She wasn't, of course she wasn't. That was Julia Domna. She came, Salonina comes a bit later. She was the wife of Gallienus. The eagle-eyed of you may have noticed that between takes, I've gone and had a quick haircut. No, I didn't have a row with the hairdresser. We just discussed that it might be an idea to have a little bit more off than usual, and she went completely bonkers and has left me with... I've never had hair this short since I was probably 6-7 years old. The only saving grace is I suspect it'll grow back. I hope it grows back. It won't grow back as thick as it used to, but anyway, very short. She was married to Gallienus. Now, Gallienus was in charge solely between 260 and 268 when he was murdered, and they reckon Salonina was probably murdered along with him. But he was also in charge with his father Valerian from 253 when she became Augusta, alongside him being an Augustus, and from 253 to 260. Now, that was bang in the middle of what they call the crisis of the 3rd century, when Rome was almost brought to its knees, mainly because there were so many people vying to be emperor, clamouring for the top job. Now, Gallienus was the official emperor, but there were a lot of people wanting to have a go, or from all parts of the empire, the Gallic side, Palmyra. With good reason it was called the crisis of the 3rd century. And he came out on top for a period of 17 years, effectively. I mean, well, 15 years. And I mean, that's a long time to keep battling off, you know, people who want to be in your position. And as I said, he was eventually murdered in 268, succeeded by Claudius Gothicus. Anyway, so this is her, and the reason it looks silver is it's an Antoninianus, which is a coin brought in by Caracalla in 216, 215, I think. It was meant to be a double denarius. It was meant to be a double silver coin. But even when it was introduced, it only had 1.5 of the amount of silver as opposed to double the amount, 2 times the amount of silver. And the silver content went steadily downhill from there. I don't understand the economics of debasing silver. I'm not very good at that sort of thing. But it was a clever way of making money for the empire. That's really oversimplifying it. But anyway, by the time Salonina comes along, there's probably very little silver in it at all. But as I said, even on the field, that looks like a silver coin to me, but it wasn't a denarius. It's too big and too wonky. The portrait isn't very good either, but then they're often not, as you can see from these pictures online. The other thing which is rather obviously striking about Salonina is she's got a hell of a nose on her. You can't really tell from this coin, but I have found another coin of hers, and I thought, gosh, she's got a bit of a nose. And if you look at some of these coins, she's got a bit of a nose. And there's a wonderful bust of her, a 3rd century bust, Roman bust, which is now in a museum in St. Petersburg. I'll show you a picture of that. And she looks like a striking woman. I mean, a handsome woman. I mean, probably not beautiful in the traditional meaning of the adjective. And from that bust as well, it looks like she's got a pretty striking, profile. Anyway, I don't know much about her apart from that. But, important enough to be on coins and to have contemporary busts made of her. So anyway, that's Salonina, and I'm really pleased with that because I don't think they're that common to find Salonina coins. Well, I've only found one tiny little bronze one. And while we're here, this half-groat, I mean, my God, I don't find many half-groats. I don't find them in this condition. I mean, it's almost mint. It's a little bit raised on that side. I mean, I could probably straighten that if I wanted to. It's an Edward III, 4th coinage, pre-treaty, class F. And if you think that sounds like I know what I'm talking about, of course it doesn't. I put it on the detecting hub, and they got back to me fairly quickly with that information. And I looked it up in my Spink, and sure enough, here we go, Edward III, 4th coinage, and there it is. I mean, that's a pretty good match, and there's so much information on this coin. I mean, it's in almost perfect condition. That with a little bit of research, I mean, I could probably work it out by myself. When you've got a really clear coin in a decent book, you will be able to ID your own coins. You won't have to rely on the hub. Anyway, I've gone on for far too long. Tasky's waiting patiently at my feet for a walk. So let's go back to the field. Well, I've just dug this to here, and I can just see it. And I was beginning to prize it out. And I thought I can see it's copper, nice and green. So I thought I'd better film. Okay, I don't think it's particularly exciting. But oh well, I don't know. It's it's lovely. It's a strap-in with loads of detail on it. I don't know what that dates to, probably sort of medieval of sorts. I don't think that's Saxon, but look at that, all that stuff. It's a shame. It's missing a bit. Oh, right. It's just come apart in my hands, but I think it was broken anyway, but it's got lovely detail on it. Can you hear those cows? The most gentle cows in the world. Well, you can see where the strap-in's gone round, and it would have probably had a buckle of sorts there, I imagine. But beautiful. Wow, lovely. Well, that's punchy. I mean, I'm guessing. I think it's going to be something to do with the Second World War, or cartridges, rifle round, or it might be a modern bit of coinage. Either way, before I show it, before we reveal, it's much punchier than the nice signals I've been digging and finding good things, but I don't dare not film at the moment. Still in there. Well, I think it's going to be a rifle round or a piece of lead. It's too loud. It's not very subtle. God, it's big and squawky. Gosh. Well, it looks to be a really nice, big, fat buckle with its pins still in it. Let's just gently take, it's got the strap end side still there, I think. God, I better be really careful here. I think it might be a bit knackered. Wow, look at that. Wow, what a beauty. I think what's happened is that bit's folded. Gotta be really careful. The copper strap end section still there. I'm bringing that round very slowly. The pin's still there, which is beautiful. Now the buckle itself looks to, I'm not sure if it goes round on, if it doubles up like that on purpose, or yeah, it does. I thought the whole thing had been squashed so that the last section had gone round on itself and doubled, but no, I think it's all cast like that. I think it's supposed to look like that's what it is, that the whole thing goes round. It's beautifully ornate, and my God, I don't know how old it is, but I've never found anything like this, like that. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't really sort of describe it any more than that. You can see from the pictures though. And there's a reason that I haven't found anything like this before, because it's like a rare type of buckle. I mean, it's an absolutely stunning thing, and at the time I thought post-medieval. It's not post-medieval, it's earlier than that. I put it on the detecting hub, and actually Kath came back to me, who is one of the leaders of the detecting hub, saying that she'd found a similar one and hadn't seen one before or after. In fact, the Portable Antiquities scheme has one on it, and I think that's her one. It's in portrait, and you can see they call it a ribbon design because it's an optical illusion. It's meant to look like the buckle has, you know, like a ribbon. It's just folded back on itself. It's an incredibly advanced piece of construction in that respect. I mean, I honestly thought when I dug it, as you heard, that I thought that, you know, that it was a buckle that had bent over it. The plough had got it and it had sort of folded back on itself. It's not that at all. It's meant to look like that. Hello, Task. Come on, up. Task. Come on. I'll see you in a minute. It's meant to look like that. I mean, that's why I thought post-medieval, but it's not. It dates to about 1300 to 1500, typical of anything of that period. I mean, they give it such a broad thing, 1250 to 1450, 1300 to 1500. It's still got its pin in it. It's got its back, it's got its buckle plate to it. I mean, it's absolutely, that's one of the nicest things I've ever found. And it's really cool to know that it's a little bit earlier than I thought it was, because I just thought that design, that can't be early. They couldn't have done that in those days, but they sure did. And look at it. I mean, as I said, that's one of the nicest things I've ever found. I'm absolutely thrilled with it. Gosh, the sun's coming out. It's glorious. I found the most incredible things. But wow, what a beauty. Gosh, this sounded very foily, and it's just here, and I think it's another hammered coin. Yeah, tiny one. People get so excited about the imprint these things make. I'm not quite sure why, but look at that. What a little beauty. Tiny little thing, but gave a really, well, that's not gonna win Hammer Coin of the Year Award 2023, but it's another piece of tiny silver. There's hardly, I don't think there's anything on it at all. This will be a challenge for the detecting hub. I bet they get it. Cool. Tiny little thing, look at that, beautiful. Deus is working well when you're finding these. But it's getting a bit darker suddenly, and you can have too much of a good thing, so I'm going to stop in a minute. Well, there's a few signals around here. That's rather dull. Probably a strip of copper, maybe a strap end. And that's too shiny to be any good, I think. Maybe just deep enough. Well, that's either brilliant or rubbish. So let's start with this. I better be quick before the rain comes in, because it's going to absolutely dump it down. I can feel it. Right. God, what a wonderful day. I'm really happy. Well, it's right at the top there. Probably it might be a cartridge even. Not very hopeful. Yeah, it's a bit of old cartridge. Oh, horrible, rubbishy, nasty thing. There are lots of that up here. But what about the nicer one? Oh, let's hope we end up on a nice bang. What a day. Okay. Well, it's quite deep, but I bet it's a ring pull. I bet it's a deep ring pull. Or a button. There are a lot of buttons here. Army buttons. It's a penny. We ended on a penny. A Queen Elizabeth penny. Oh my God, is it 1971 again? My birthday. Well, thank you very much for watching and joining me again. That was really fun. God, I keep saying it, but I feel really lucky at the moment because I'm having a whale of a time on this pasture. Better than I've ever have done. Maybe I'm just getting even better at using this. I just don't know. But I used to come up here sometimes and not find anything, day after day. And there's one more here. Bonus thing, this is very unusual sounding. It's tiny, whatever it is. Tiny and sharp. Maybe it's another coin. Maybe it's another modern coin being in this section. Just on the edge there. Maybe a bit of lead. There I can see. It is, it's another penny. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.